Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good afternoon, Mid-Michigan. First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you on this Monday. We've been enjoying the sunshine, a little bit of cloud cover, but we do have a few showers to first alert you to in just a portion of Mid-Michigan. So we'll be highlighting that on radar. And plus, actually just coming in before we join the live stream, we had those winter storm watches issued for portions of Mid-Michigan. So we'll also be highlighting that. You'll be getting the push alerts on your First Alert weather app. So make sure that you have that up and running on your devices. As we jump right into that watch, you can see that I do have the QR code right here, so then you can go and get that app downloaded. It is free to download from the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, so there are many ways to get that app. But just coming in from the National Weather Service, we do have the winter weather alert. So this is a winter storm watch. They are issuing this for Tuesday night at 10 o'clock through 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. So 24 hours is what that watch is for. We're going to be watching during this time frame for some wintry mix before it does turn to rain. Now it's coming across Roscommon, Ogama, and Iosco counties and then continuing north. This is where we are going to be looking at our best chance for us to be seeing some of those heavier glazing and ice accumulations. When I was going through the watch, they had maybe some stronger amounts than what we might anticipate for Roscommon, Ogama, and Iosco counties, simply because that rainfall is going to try to cut in. However, I do anticipate seeing that wintry mix at the onset, and that is going to continue to be in the forecast for us as we go Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. Now, it also does continue north. We'll continue to see that mix across the northern portion of Mid-Michigan, the northern portions of the lower peninsula. And something to keep in mind here is, of course, we're still recovering from the ice storm that we picked up just last winter. So we are going to find that this is maybe a little bit nerve-wracking because we do have that ice that's going to come in a location that was definitely hit hard previously, and we're still trying to recover. So seeing more ice in the forecast is not exactly what we want to really see coming our way. So again, that winter storm watch is coming across the northern portions of the lower peninsula, and it does also come across the UP as well. So we are going to continue to see this system have impacts that are maybe a little bit stronger in other portions compared to what maybe we pick up here in Mid-Michigan. So far, we have not seen the need to do a First Alert weather day, so we are kind of holding back on that simply because we do have the rain component in this one. But again, we do have that mix, so much of this forecast is still on track. We haven't seen too many changes. Of course, we are still watching for that wintry mix to cut in, and that is going to be across our northern counties. So we are going to kind of be watching a zone along M55 for that to be setting up for us to see some of that icing. I will get to the hour by hour in a little bit, but I do want to talk about what's happening right now because we do have some of these rain showers that are setting up. So we are picking up on some thunderstorms even here into Iosco County. This line has kind of been pivoting through. We are seeing lightning being detected there. So if you're in Whittemore, you'll want to head inside just with that lightning coming through. As we zoom into this system here, we are going to see that's going to be just north of Hale along M65, so that's going to be cutting across there. I haven't seen anything severe in this storm, but it is cutting through, so that's going to be headed towards Tawas. And even Oscoda, you're probably going to be picking up on a little bit of that thunderstorm activity. It looks like it may just miss Whittemore, so we'll just be kind of watching this to drive along M55 and kind of stay north of there, but it will be headed towards Wilbur. So if you are outside trying to enjoy what was supposed to be a nice day, if you're in Iosco County, we do have that thunderstorm that's rolling through, so quite a bit of lightning there. Again, it is staying below severe criterias, so we're not seeing 1-inch hail. We're also not seeing winds picking up to be all that strong in that one. I'll even bring up our wind tracker, and that doesn't even look like strong winds on our wind tracker here. So even though that does say rotation, we're not seeing anything rotating within this system. So just kind of keeping an eye to those conditions on the pinpoint Doppler. But we do still have some of that rain, thunder, lightning. So if you're in hail right along I-69, or excuse me, M65, you are going to be finding that we do have that thunderstorm that's coming across. So that's going to continue to move through. I do just want to get kind of a track on how fast that's been moving. So this is within the last hour. We've really kind of seen it take shape and kind of catch up. I'm just going to kind of draw this line here compared to now because I just want to get a good measurement potentially on how quick it is moving. So it's moving at about nearly 40 miles per hour. So that's kind of cruising right along. So that means that this is going to continue to kind of head, like I said, towards Oscoda and into Tawas. So we will see that around 2:26 into Tawas and then about 2:30. So it's going to take about the next 20 to 25 minutes to get across Iosco County. So that should be staying north of Alabaster though, but we will be seeing that just kind of hanging north of M55. So this is just kind of some of the timing here, but in the next half hour, we will see that head into the Outer Bay. Of course, we will also be watching to see that kind of come through for the thumb, because we will see that that can kind of grow and continue to clip. So we'll see if that just takes kind of a further dive south over the water. The one thing that is interesting is that we have quite a bit of ice in the inner bay. Even the outer bay still has some ice out there as well. So we are going to be finding that that can kind of cool the storm down a little bit, but we will be watching closely to see how those are going to handle as they come across. So still could be picking up some showers into the thumb potentially, especially in northern Huron County. When we do look at our METAR, it's not showing that, of course, it's missing a lot of our sensors. So we're not seeing a ton of action kind of on the south side of this storm where we do just have that rain so coming across to Aranet County, but still, if you know somebody who's maybe doing some ice fishing out on the bay, make sure that they are aware that you could still pick up on a little bit of rain here as that is coming through. So as we zoom out, you will see that there is some winter weather within this storm, but we're just kind of seeing the tail end of it coming across and into Iosco County. So just kind of a little bit of everything. You can see that that grip that winter has on the forecast isn't all that strong, considering that we are getting some warm air in enough to get a thunderstorm going. But we do have, of course, that rain and snow coming off into Canada over across Lake Huron, and then we are seeing that coming across northern Iosco County with that thunderstorm. Again, I don't have any watches or warnings for that thunderstorm, but I do have that winter storm watch. That is for Roscommon, Ogama, and Iosco counties for the storm coming in on Tuesday. So there is a lot to keep an eye on. When we look at our temperatures, they are warming up nicely. We're at 56 in Owasso. We're at 54 for Cairo. We're at the same for Flint. We're at 52 in Saginaw at MBS. We're also finding that we have 50 degrees in Midland. A little bit cooler here into the thumb. We still have some of that snowpack. So we are at 44 in Bad Axe. We have 42 in Caseville. And then right along the shoreline, of course, that water's holding on to some of that cold air. And so that ice has our air temperature at 37 for Harbor Beach and into Port Sanilac. We're at 43 in Oscoda and 35 into Tawas. So with even seeing kind of on the contour here, I'm going to zoom in just because as we look towards Iosco County, you can see where we have some of that green. That's where that thunderstorm is. I anticipate as temperatures drop across the county, we will start to see that thunderstorm kind of fizzle out a little bit. So we'll see how well it handles, but I think it's just trying to tap into a little bit of heat that's been able to kind of bubble and grow here into western Iosco County, to where on the eastern side, I anticipate that it will start to decrease and strengthen, eventually fall apart before it heads out over the water. As I had mentioned, we are watching that system for Wednesday, so we are going to be looking at mainly rainfall with this one, but we do have some communities that will have that wintry mix and glazing to be possible. So we are going to find that not only do we have the wet weather to contend with, but it will also be breezy on Wednesday. We will find that also temperatures are kind of all spread out. So as we dive into that portion of the forecast, I am going to take a quick break, kind of get all of our gears switched here, and we are going to be back in about 1 minute. Welcome back. So kind of keeping an eye on everything in the forecast here as we are still watching that thunderstorm. But as promised, we are going to be talking about that storm that we have coming in on Tuesday night and then rolling into Wednesday morning. So I am going to hop into the hour by hour forecast to time that out for you here. So for today, it's not really buying into the thunderstorm that we do have into Iosco County, but we are going to still find that it is going to be coming across the lake. So we'll see how that's going to play out. Again, if you're into Huron County, you still can pick up a couple of showers, but we are going to be finding that once that system pushes by behind it, we are going to be looking at a quiet forecast. But once again, tomorrow morning, we are going to find that we do have the potential for some patchy fog again. We've been kind of having that here since temperatures have warmed up, and the big idea is that with that snowpack on the ground and it melting, that puts added moisture into the air, and our winds have been light at night, so we really haven't had a lot of mixing, so kind of that moisture is sitting at the ground and it's just kind of not moving, and that's allowing that fog to develop for us. So we're going to have that chance once again tomorrow morning. Another thing to kind of note, when we have had some of that fog, we have seen some air quality alerts come down. Even around the Detroit area, they've been seeing kind of worse air quality, but I do want to bring that up because you may be seeing some of that here. But we are finding that we are just into the moderate category for a lot of our mid-Michigan communities. The sensor in Flint appears to be down, but we did have Houghton Lake and the one in Saginaw that were reporting that we were just into the moderate here. You will see closer towards the Detroit area that we do have that orange, so that does mean that it is unhealthy for sensitive groups. So if you've maybe noticed that you are finding that maybe you kind of have some allergies, maybe some runny eyes, a little bit of sneezing, kind of those similar symptoms, is what's going on is that when the atmosphere kind of rain or snows, it does do a little bit of a detox. So is what that allows is that all the toxins that are in the atmosphere typically kind of get rained out. So when we have the snow, we have those toxins, they fall, and then they do kind of get stuck into our snow. And then now that we've had the snowpack, it's just kind of been sitting there, but we've actually found that the concentration, now that that snow is melting, has been enough to where we are seeing some of those air quality impacts just from those toxins that are being released. So again, if you just kind of notice that you have maybe some allergies or kind of some of those kind of sinus issues that are flaring up, it could just be because of the snow melt. Now, we did have some air quality concerns into Bay City earlier, but that has since dropped because the winds have picked up, and also we don't have that mixing going on in the lower level. We've kind of had at night to get that fog going, kind of some stillness, kind of like a cap over the atmosphere, so that's why we're not really getting that mixing. The fog can develop, and then those toxins get trapped closer towards the surface. So we are going to find, though, again, that our air quality has improved. We are seeing those into the moderate zones, but still, if you're just not feeling good, this could be something that is to be mindful of. It is also the winter season, so it still could just be some bugs that are going around. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself and reach out for medical help if you feel that you need it to kind of get everything looked out here. But I just kind of wanted to highlight that, considering that we have had a couple of reports, and maybe you've seen some of those air quality impacts. We haven't had the alerts here locally. The Detroit area had air quality advisories come out, but we have not seen any here into mid-Michigan. All right, so kind of getting back onto that system for Wednesday. Sorry about the little derail, but I did want to still talk about it nonetheless. So going throughout the daylight hours of Tuesday, it's pretty quiet here in the forecast. A little bit of moisture tries to build in with the cloud cover that's expected, but it isn't closer towards bedtime when we do start to see that we do have some of that freezing rain that's trying to show up here. And this is closer towards 127 around Clear, even trying to cut into Midland across Gladwin. But the one thing that I've noticed is that there is some dry air at the onset. So as this first kind of arm of precip tries to come out, I anticipate that we will go through evaporation before that hits the ground. It's closer towards midnight that we finally become a little bit more saturated, and then we do see that our conditions do allow for this kind of freezing rain setup. So I am watching, and though it seems to kind of start across our northern counties, as we go into the morning, we can see that it really is closer towards Roscommon, Ogama, Iosco counties, kind of where that line goes. But we still could find that we have a couple locations kind of just trying to cut into Clare, Gladwin, and Standish, just to kind of give a little bit of buffer that you may still see some of that freezing rain potential going into Wednesday morning. But we do anticipate eventually switching over to all rain as we get into the middle of the morning, and even by lunchtime this system does start to move out. So that's just kind of the timing is really kind of Tuesday at bedtime through about mid-morning Wednesday, but really by lunchtime we really start to see that move through. This is a more higher resolution model that I'm looking at here. So this is picking up on that rainfall a little bit better, but you can still see that it keeps us dry here through Tuesday. So I'm just going to kind of fast forward in time a little bit. It tries to pick up some of that moisture out ahead. You can see it even kind of picks up out over the water. So it's just really trying to amplify out over the water some of that precipitation. So I just think that's a little bit of noise. I think that it really starts to come in a little bit better here with that timing of about midnight. So we do still see kind of coming in towards Roscommon, Ogama, Iosco counties, that's where we do have the potential for that freezing rain and that icing. When I was looking at some of the numbers, potentially getting up towards 1/4 of an inch of ice. So we will be watching that closely because of course that can cause not only slick roads, but we'll be watching for any power concerns across those 3 counties. But even as we go through about the mid-morning, we're still seeing some of that freezing rain. This is 5 a.m. But then kind of as that rain picks up a little bit, we do see it switch over to liquid and not just falling down as ice. So we are going to be seeing that the system does come through during the morning, kind of really packing a punch while a lot of us are asleep, which is good, but then it does slow us down when we're trying to get out the door on Wednesday morning. So if you are into the Tri-Cities or even into the Thumb, if you're in Mount Pleasant, Chesaning, Owasso, Flint, Lapeer, I anticipate for school we're going to be on time on Wednesday. I think my main concerns as far as schools would be closer towards Houghton Lake, Whittemore. Of course, we'll be watching Gladwin County just kind of see where that transition between frozen and liquid sets up. But I truly think that if you're along and south of US 10 coming into the Thumb and then down towards Flint along I-69, I don't anticipate much as far as road impacts, and I anticipate school to be on time. Now, some of this could change, but considering that we do still have kind of that freezing rain chance further north, I think the further south you are, you'll be in better shape to just deal with rainfall at that point. Speaking of rain, we will be looking at a healthy amount of water, considering we've also melted quite a bit of our snow away. We are looking at potentially about a ½ inch to an inch. It is a little bit later here towards Owasso, Flint, Lapeer, just because we don't pick up that big push of rain on the back side of it. So that's why those are a little bit closer towards 1/4 of an inch for those communities. But we are still finding, again, about a ½ inch is the average kind of when you look between these two. But 3/4 of an inch could easily be possible, even trying to get up towards that 1 inch mark. Of course, the icing can also play with how much rainfall we do pick up. I am going to show this icing map. I think it's a little bit hot here coming in towards West Branch. I'm not really in love seeing 4/10 on there. I think that's a bit strong. So don't really get hung up on these numbers because I think that that's a bit much. Just something to kind of keep in mind is that it is going to be north of US 10 where we do have the potential for that mix. The other thing is that this model is a little bit colder, so that's probably why it's a little bit more excited to populate. A little more icing on there, so I'm not totally in love with this map, but you kind of get the idea that we could be looking at about 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of icing from that system. That would be across Houghton Lake, coming in towards Whittemore. We'd see that for Rose City and into West Branch, so across our northern row of counties. I do also want to talk about temperatures because these are going to be all over the place here. We are going to be seeing today that we're still seeing those 40s just getting into the 50s, pretty comparable to yesterday. And then I am going to fast forward into Wednesday because we are going to be finding that we see a big kind of change on Wednesday because as that system comes through, we have more warmer air that's kind of coming in behind it. So we are seeing that we have the chance for 50s coming in towards Flint along I-69, even up towards Alma. But then as we get into the Tri-Cities, we're just kind of seeing some 40s, same for about Mount Pleasant into the Thumb. And then the further north we go, we just see that we have some 30s that are coming in. So if you call your friend, if you're maybe seeing those 30s and you call your friend in Flint and they say, hey, it's really warm here, and you say, hey, it's not really warm for me, that's because that warm air is not going to make it all the way through mid-Michigan. So we are going to be seeing some variations for us. Even as we go into Thursday, we've seen that the precipitation chances have been dropping, allowing for a little more heat in the forecast, but I do anticipate once again, and very similar to what we had yesterday and today, is a lot of variation to where we'll have some 30s, 40s, and even some 50s coming in. So if you're looking for that warmer air, you're just going to have to continue to kind of head south, be a snowbird across mid-Michigan to kind of get out of some of that cold, but still kind of 50s is the best we can do. I anticipate, though, for Thursday that we will be closer towards those upper 40s. Taking a look at that 7-day forecast, we are going to be finding that we still keep our temperatures mainly above freezing. Again, we will have variations here through the next couple of days, and still we are watching out for that shower and thunderstorm. We'll do another check on that here in a moment. But we do have that patchy fog potential going into tomorrow morning. So again, that's where we could run into some air quality alerts just as more of that snowpack continues to melt. But thankfully, we have been bumped back up into the moderate here for mid-Michigan. Going into Wednesday, that's when we have that system. So that starts right at midnight on Wednesday, going into the morning commute. It'll be breezy. Behind it Thursday, we did dry out, but Friday, we have yet another system coming in. So though it was quiet for a week, we have two systems kind of back to back almost with some rain and some snow showers Friday. It breaks apart, so we were able to dry out Saturday, and then just a little bit of lingering precip on Sunday. We're kind of watching a system that isn't really fully evolved. It's kind of messy out there, to be honest. So we're going to be kind of watching that. So we just have some snow showers because we want to really see how those systems, that cutoff low and that low pressure system in the East Coast, how those two are going to interact with one another. So keep an eye to your First Alert weather app. Again, I have that QR code right here so you can give that a scan. As promised, I do want to go and just check in on that storm that we have here towards Iosco County, and you are going to be finding that it is going to be moving in towards Iosco here Oscoda. So that's going to be rolling in here and just about right on time, about 2:25 is what we were looking at coming into 2:30. So we are just a few minutes before that comes in, still picking up on quite a bit of lightning there. So if you are in Tawas, and to be safe, Alabaster or Oscoda, make sure that you are headed inside with that lightning concern. Though it might seem mild and we want to break some of that cabin fever, when lightning's in the area, we just don't want you outside. So it's just a few minutes. That should pass pretty quickly. It's moving about 40 miles per hour. So it should be out over the water no later than about 2:40. So you'll have a chance to get back outside and continue the projects that you have. But again, we do have just that one winter thunderstorm. It has weakened quite a bit coming across the county. So I think it is running out of that mild air that we had on the western side of Iosco. But it is still putting on a light show with the thunder and the lightning. So we are going to just kind of keep an eye to that here. It's not reaching severe levels, not a ton of wind in it, but still with that lightning threat, we do want you headed inside as that pushes through. You can also keep an eye on radar here in the First Alert weather app. I do want to thank you all for joining me, though, here this afternoon. Of course, again, the app's going to be a great tool for watching radar, but also getting updates on that Wednesday system. Also, happening today at 4, I'll have our fresh new look on our 7-day forecast, so make sure you tune into TV5 then. And then tonight at 9 o'clock, First Alert Chief Meteorologist Chris Eastlick is going to be here at the desk. He's going to be even looking at the more recent kind of evening round of data that we'll have, and he'll be able to dissect any changes that could be coming in the forecast for that Tuesday night, Wednesday morning system that's on its way. But thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time here this afternoon. Hopefully you're able to enjoy a little bit of sunshine if that can come your way, and we look forward to seeing you back here a little later on.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.